Hello, board members. I am Ben Robinson with the First Rule Group. I'm continuing the work of Kim Dawson as she has recently moved off the project. We have also added Lindsay Phillips for a few months as a project coordinator. We wanted to share a few updates as we continue our work to create a new strategic workforce plan for Washington, Talent and Prosperity for All. This 4-year plan will cover many strategies to build a stronger workforce and solid foundation for economic success. It serves as a coordinating document for the many partner agencies, and it is required both by state statute and by the federal government for continued federal money supporting workforce activities.
The agenda for today is a brief review of the vision, mission, and values of the Workforce Board, a recap of the May board retreat, activities in June and July since the board retreat, a summary of the partner agency interviews that took place in June and July, and a brief discussion of the upcoming community forums. Today's update begins with a short reminder of the Workforce Board's vision, mission, and values. As you can see on this slide, equity, inclusion, and collaboration serve as critical components of these 3 principles. This planning process is built upon the same principles. It involves multiple partners from federal and state agencies to business, labor, and community organizations throughout the state. Throughout this process, we'll share a simple message to help focus our work. Washington's Workforce Plan, Talent and Prosperity for All, champions long-term economic success for workers, employers, and communities. Thanks to everyone who helped us kick off the planning process at our May board retreat. Many of you joined dozens of other partners from Washington's workforce system to discuss challenges and identify solutions. Our work in Tacoma and follow-up interviews with key partners has led to these 3 guiding principles for the Talent and Prosperity for All planning process. Close economic disparities for marginalized populations, comprehensive support for individuals with barriers to employment, and system-wide performance metrics and accountability. The retreat also generated 5 strategic priorities: system, business, youth, credential transparency, and job quality, all summarized on the bottom of this slide. Over the past 60 days, the Workforce Board has met with leaders and program managers from 11 state agencies and other organizations that provide workforce development services. We have several more to schedule and value your suggestion on other organizations that are not on this list. These interviews were conducted to learn from the partner agencies their plans and initiatives and how they align with the strategic priorities. Our intent is to build on the momentum of workforce agency partners towards our strategic priorities, and only create new initiatives where the board and its partners deem it necessary. In the question and answer period, we want to learn if there are additional agencies that we should speak with.
Here is a summary of common elements from the partner agencies. The items highlighted here represent specific areas of alignment from multiple agency plans. This summary is not finalized and will continue to evolve as we get more feedback from our statewide partners. We want to get your input as well into how these resonate with you and how best to frame these items for different audiences going forward. We understand many of these items are not new and have been present in earlier plans. These continue to be goals for all the workforce system agencies, and the differences this year will be focused in how these elements are pursued, the metrics to evaluate progress, and the incremental nature of the plan changes. These differences will become more clear as we progress with the plan. Starting with the system strategic priority, which is to integrate system services, data, accountability, and resources with clear partners and roles. 3 specific elements stood out in the interviews. Simplified common intake, where we reduce the amount of duplication for customers through technology enhancements and process changes. Improved data sharing that includes agency partners sharing customer data, operational data, and analysis data. And integrated service delivery that streamlines how services are provided and accounts for the different experiences of our customers. The business strategic priority is to support business development and competitiveness by aligning with economic development and growth activities. This priority was present as build and expand career pathways for critical industries, ensuring the necessary workforce for the industries of today and tomorrow to support statewide policies and economic necessity, and expand definition of workforce support to help reduce the impact of workforce barriers such as childcare, housing, transportation, and broadband access. The youth strategic priority is to improve opportunities for young people to transition to an economically successful adulthood. This priority was present as increase youth awareness of workforce services and programs through integration with other agencies, and increase youth credentialing through employment by providing credit and credentials through work experience. Credential transparency explores credential reform to improve equitable access, mobility, and long-term economic success. This is needed so that workers and learners can make informed decisions about their education and training pathways, and the likelihood they lead to quality jobs and living wage careers. Put learners at the center by having credentials provide momentum, mobility, and permeability along educational and career pathways. All forms of learning that are validated should be credentialed. And create common definition over what is contained within a credential and how those skills, competencies, and experiences are described so that credentials can be better evaluated and compared. Job quality strategic priority is to develop a job quality framework to guide decisions and key investments in the delivery of business services. This was seen in two ways. Expand registered apprenticeships to more fields through increasing participation from underrepresented populations and expanding in non-traditional industries beyond building and construction trades, and reduce social and financial constraints on wages by understanding the impact on wages in industries with competing pressures. For example, the relationship between child care provider wages and Working Connections child care subsidy. How do these look? Is this on the mark? Do you see the plans for your organizations reflected in this summary? We're hoping to solicit your feedback on these points in the question and answer session coming up soon. The interview summary will serve as a basis to continue work with agency partners on the impact statements and approaches for each strategic priority. These impact statements and approaches will serve as the basis for the next phase, community forums. It is important that the plan be framed correctly for the community forum so community members understand how they are contributing and where to expect their input to be seen in the final plan. The Workforce Board is also committed to a robust public outreach schedule. It's critical that we connect with small businesses, working families, union members, and underserved communities. These forums serve to gather input from the community on how the strategic priorities, approaches, and impact areas resonate within the community. The goal of the forums is to get broad input from across the state, from business, labor, community advocates, tribes, historically underserved and marginalized populations such as the BIPOC community, and people with lived experience, all from urban and rural communities across the state. These forums will occur between mid to late August and November 2023, and will follow a rough structure of 12 to 15 total forums, some in person and others virtual as communities require. They'll be roughly 90 minutes in length with 30-minute introductions and 60 minutes for breakout sessions and discussion. Community outreach is one area where the Workforce Board members can really make a difference. We need your advice and connections from business, labor, community organizations, and more to help us create a more comprehensive and meaningful plan. Please review the distributed list of organizations to be invited to the community forums and provide any additional organizations in the question and answer session.
We look forward to seeing you at the board meeting on August 9th. If you'd like to provide input prior to the board meeting, please contact me or Andrew Lenderman, the communications manager, at the email addresses on the screen. Thanks again for your continued support of the Workforce Board, and I look forward to your questions.